Or 6.
So we're at 6. Mel should be here shortly, and Joseph will not be joining us. Any additions or adjustments to the agenda?
I don't have any.
Okay.
Steve, do you want to share that with me and I can help take notes? I don't know who usually takes the notes for personnel. I don't usually participate, but I'm happy to help if you want.
Sure.
Sorry. And I was just gonna, well, you just heard her say that, of course, I want to remind everybody that committee meetings are now recorded. So we aren't alone in this room, and just a reminder that, where this is personnel, things that I've talked about, we've been talking about in executive sessions, or things we've been talking about in negotiations are confidential and shouldn't be brought up until we are in an executive session. Approve the minutes of October 24th.
Who was here?
Yeah, October 20.
It looks like
Did someone second that?
Danny set in for Emily and Joseph wasn't here.
So are you seconding this?
Sure.
You have to.
Okay.
So who was it?
So we got Randy. All in favor? 1, 2, 3. Opposed, abstention?
Yes, I have to abstain.
Did you watch it from home?
Actually, I did, but I didn't participate. Obviously.
All right, so we have a pile of job descriptions. There are only 2 that we have to really look through and approve and to send to the board for their approval, because the committee only needs to review teachers and administrators' job descriptions. The rest are here for us to peruse and prove that they're complete and done. But we don't have to take action on them. We can discuss if there are things that you found in there that you'd like to discuss. So I want to start by looking at the library media specialist. Like there was an old description here.
I think for each of these, what you have is first the old one, and then the new one.
Yep. So we all got these in our email, so hopefully everybody's had time to take a quick look at those. Nothing jumped out at me. Do we want to start with a motion to send it to the board for approval?
Question.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So
I
moved.
was
Then I have
looking.
a motion to discuss.
I have motions, we can discuss it and then we'll,
I'll make
Sound
the
good?
motion.
okay. Second. Emily and Leah, go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, I noticed on the new one, I don't see anything that says that the librarian has any responsibility for getting books. Or I should say, let me.
I would say, Randy, it's number F. It's a letter F, sorry,
I did put.
which is supervise the acquisition and distribution of media materials, and the libraries and books would fall under that. So that person may not actually order the books, they might direct ed techs to do that, but they would help coordinate all of that.
Doesn't the policy refer to instructional materials and media materials? I do believe our policy says that, because that was a question I had down for policy committee when we go through books, IJJ, one of those.
I think Steve's looking it up right now.
Yep, I know that the original one, and again, I think maybe it's IJJ. The original one differentiated the two.
Okay.
And on the new one that Drummond Woodsum sent, it put them together. So if you think you want to go with the newer one, then you put it together. Otherwise,
Yeah,
I think it makes sense actually to say both.
But are they really responsible for instructional materials, or do you do the purchase of instructional?
that's a good question. I mean, just as it sits with me, and I'm open to the other interpretations, instructional materials is broader. It's what
Yeah,
teachers
yeah.
order for their classrooms. It's like, lab stuff. It's anything that a teacher would use, which it could be like, I don't know, diesel parts.
I was surprised when I actually read it and it said instructional materials because I never really thought of it.
Yeah.
It's going through the law, going that way.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I'm just wondering who's actually responsible for that.
The policy doesn't speak to who's responsible. It says, says superintendent consultation with administrators and professional staff is responsible for selecting instructional materials and library media resources. So it doesn't identify the library media specialist separate from like a department
What are you
chair.
reading from?
This is IJJ,
Okay.
selection of educational materials.
Okay. And I believe the learning committee is going to be going over IJJ the next time. Again, just clarifying here that
Yes.
I know the policy had said both. And as a matter of fact, I think on the one that policy that learning committee is going to go over, it gave two options. And I think that was the only difference between the two options. Was one was, responsible for both things and one was responsible for one. And Drummond Woodson didn't make a note in on that, I don't believe, that said, hey, this has been changed or what we did. So, again, not a problem with that. I just wanted to clarify because I know I was looking at both of them.
gotcha.
In the old one, it has two bullets. It's identify and select a variety of learning materials and resources, and then identify and select different instructional resources.
Yeah, because I think actually, maybe, again, not wrong, I think it was actually defined in the policy, what is instructional material and what is media material. Again, no problem, I'm not trying to hang us up here. I think I see those two things and say, if we're gonna go with a new one somewhere, it should get consistent with this one, we won't let the other one control what we're gonna do tonight. So, okay. That was all I had on the library.
I have one question. When Holly and I were going over budgeting for our library, she mentioned that she thought they had to have a master's degree because she was having a budget done with a master's. When I look at their certification, it says a bachelor's, but 36 hours of master's. Is that shy of a master's? I just don't want this to be something that's.
Yeah, the certification requirements for library media specialists are fairly specific. And they need to either have a master's degree in library science or a bachelor's degree in something else, plus a teaching certification and a certain number of credits in library science.
And that would be the 36.
That-
36 is
Okay.
what you need for that.
Okay.
degree anyway,
I just
so.
didn't want to get you hung up later.
So they don't, for the certification, they don't necessarily have to have the master's degree, but they have to have an amount of credits that equals a master's degree. So this is kind of written in a way that is a catch-all.
Kind of a cop.
Well, it makes it
Yeah.
easier for school departments to hold to hire librarians.
Which
I'm
we need.
almost done
Oh,
with
yeah.
my degree.
So that
Can I
just
have a
means you
job?
took enough
Yes.
courses, just not all in one area to get the actual degree.
Yeah.
All right, I just didn't want you to have a problem later.
All right, is there anything else on library media specialists? All right, all in favor of recommending this job description to the full board? Four. The next one is for teacher. Yeah. Yes. Oh, do we want to make a motion so
I
we
read-
talk about it?
Oh, I'm sorry.
The motion, sorry.
Jumping the gun.
All right, so Leah's moving and a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Emily. Go ahead.
Can someone explain culturally responsive discipline strategy, F, the new culturally responsive?
I'll take a whack at it. So when you have a bunch of kids in the room and some of them come from cultures where that might have different norms around like what eye contact means or what physical space means or what silence means, then we can't expect the teacher to know what all of those will be right off the bat, but to have an open mind about where the child is coming from so that when they're trying to manage their behavior or keep them engaged in class, they're well equipped to do so. An example I can think of is in Japanese culture, for example, silence or not responding to somebody when they're asking you a question has a different meaning than what it means in a Western culture. And so it could be misinterpreted by the teacher if a student is just silent to them, or if the teacher is silent to them. That would be my interpretation of it.
Okay. Yep, just I've heard that one before. Sounds a little something-ish.
Where did this text come
We
from?
changed that.
I
Where,
actually adopted most of this from Camden.
where was, what letter?
F.
We did try to align this with Marshall's rubrics for teachers, and there is an element under planning and preparation for planning and preparation for learning that references designing lessons that use an effective mix of high-quality multicultural learning materials and technology. So I think that may be one piece where that connects to this language.
I mean, I think this could be applied in a number of ways, but another example is, let's say, this is actually an example I've seen from my previous district. I'll try to put this delicately. There were, and by my previous district, I don't mean Camden. We had some teachers in that building who really did not want to teach in a way that was relevant to all the kids they had who were going to the tech center. They wanted to teach these kids as if they were going for a Harvard PhD in some humanities topic. And really what those kids needed were reading materials about tractors and guns and things that were relevant to them. So I think it can cut in multiple ways depending on the kids you're working with.
I really like, K and L. Appreciated that wording.
Mhm.
Was that a question? Everyone's quiet here.
Nope,
I
I'm
say, I
just
must have missed something.
waiting to see if there's anything else that, anyone has any questions or concerns or, I read through all these this afternoon and I think I liked how detailed they were.
Do we focus on social emotional learning? I would think we'd be more education.
We have,
Number H.
we do, at the elementary level, we have a program and a curriculum called Second Step that has SEL in it.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
But that's not our focus. The teachers don't focus on that.
They do have to implement that curriculum at certain points, but it's not like a full academic class. There's certain instances in the schedule when they deliver those lessons.
That also isn't saying that that's the focus of their teaching. It is a sub-focus of promoting positive relationships with students.
And it would be different in different classrooms. An elementary school teacher who has all subjects would have a component of that, but a high school biology teacher would not be focusing on that.
We're always sort of focusing,
Well, yes.
working together and
Yeah.
being a community. All right.
I thought I heard something. Must have done it the other way around, sorry.
That's an ominous, that's an ominous sound.
Well, I could have the Harley on too.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's, go ahead. I'll, like to approve, sending, the new job description for teacher to the board for approval. All
Do you
in
need-
favor?
We need a motion to do that.
You already
Oh, we
have the
did.
motion.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
I missed it.
Yep, so yes, four yeses. So the rest of these, I was thinking, oh, public, anybody? I hope everyone took a minute to peruse these on your email. Like that I did this afternoon and, nothing jumped out at me, but I'm open to whoever wants to discuss anything, just, go for it. Randy.
Assistant Transportation Director.
Assistant Transportation Director.
What number is it?
Absolutely.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
They are in alphabetical order by the title of the new version. If that helps you find your way through that.
Would that be number 10?
It's not quite halfway through. It's
Field 2/3.
There's a
It's
lot
about-
of days, Randy.
3/7 of the way through.
Did you say Assistant Transportation Director?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's a new position, so
I
there's not a previous version of that job.
I'm looking at the qualifications. Yeah. Valid driver's license. Commercial driver's license for passenger and school bus endorsements, preferred or required? I don't know. They're almost required. We
Well,
require that?
we require them to have the CDL, well, so that they can drive an empty school bus. Delvin, you always know how to enter a room.
Well, almost.
Not walking very good.
I
Crunched them.
So would you say that again, Julie?
Oh, really?
So we're looking at, currently Assistant Transportation Director, and the question was on number F under qualification, letter F under qualifications, about the driver's license requirement.
We just,
So we require them to have the CDL to drive the bus. We historically have not required them to have a school bus endorsement to drive the bus for children.
Age is not needed.
with the transportation difficulties we often have, if we had someone in the transportation department who could still drive the bus in an emergency with kids.
Correct. I mean, yes, we
So
could.
we could require it instead of preferred school bus endorsements or required. I mean, I think that's okay, required at this point in time, it wouldn't interfere much with someone that's applying for the job that already had.
Right. I understand and I can see it both ways. The problem that I currently have in transportation is I have everybody possible in the vehicle. And if we leave the bus garage empty and a bus breaks down, we have nobody at the garage to rescue the broke down bus. So that's why the mechanic and the assistant transportation director has to be able to drive an empty bus, because they can take a new bus to the broke down bus. All the children can get on a new bus, and the bus driver can drive the children away, and the mechanic or the assistant transportation director takes the broken bus, if it's drivable, back to the garage. If not, that's what the tow truck shows. So Brian and Ernie and I have had long
Exactly, all
conversations
the
about it in both
administrative
directions
assistants.
as to which way to do it. It would, it's kind of the equivalent of if Karen Brackett was gonna be in a classroom all day, type of thing. At some point, you need the people directing. But, we can certainly require it if that's what the board wants.
I don't necessarily have a preference, but when I saw that, I said, make sense to require it.
Yeah, and we've definitely gone back and forth, and we're not opposed to it. It doesn't mean they'd be in a bus every day, for sure. We've tried it out.
And I'm not insisting. Just like that.
No,
I saw it, and I
It's
just felt
been
myself.
yeah.
But it's me.
We've had that conversation many, many times in the 5 years I've been here, and we keep kind of doing the under over. Because there were times when it'd be like, great, if I could get in the bus, right? Although I'm better
No,
tractors
sorry.
than buses. I'm gonna count Brandy. Yes, sir.
So with a CDL, they can drive a bus and,
Correct. They just can't drive with
right,
students.
they can have students.
Right. Like I've gone with, say, Ernie before to see what a route looks like, to see if I thought a driveway was safe for us to back into. He can drive with me. He just can't drive with students.
Right.
So we can do that. But we're certainly working toward that anyway, to get everybody with the school bus endorsement, just because of those days when we've run out of everything.
Oh, sure.
Those have a drivers.
Yeah.
No.
I'm comfortable with the way it reads, just because you are saying it's preferred, which is true, but it also covers what you need.
Well, and it gives us the flexibility to hire someone until they can get it too, was the other thing I was thinking, like I wouldn't want to turn someone down because they didn't have it, but knowing they should get it in a period of time.
That's like the 36 credits for the library.
Yeah.
How certified? Could be.
And, just as the shortage got tighter, the rules increased, so it made it harder to get a school bus endorsement than it used to be, which was really helpful.
All I spotted. Now I'll take this home and there in print, I can say, oh, next one.
So for Melvin and Danny, who just came in, we approved the two the two job descriptions we had to recommend to the board without changes. The rest of these job descriptions, we do not have to approve or recommend to the board. They're just here because they're new, and we asked to have the new ones presented to us tonight. So we're here. So if you've read through them, you have any comments, questions, concerns about any of them, that's what we're going through now.
Okay.
And I'm not going through them one by one. I'm hoping you all read your email and you can,
Under administrative assistant, special services, letter N.
is that
Let's get to that.
Oh,
What you talking about?
Which direction are we going?
administrative assistant to special services.
Go back.
No, it'd be toward the beginning.
Back
Like
before.
the
Back before.
Got it.
And letter F, did you say?
No, N.
N. On the administrative assistant,
The
letter N.
I just wasn't sure about that process, because the clinicians that are in here, speech therapists and OT and PT, all have billing as job responsibilities, and I wasn't sure about, like, my concern is just people passing off billing, right?
Right, so
I-
they have to enter it all, but
Okay.
they may, because the two systems talk to each other,
Yeah.
our IEP system and our billing system, because they're all from the same company. And so she just flags them as the now billable.
Okay, and so she just puts them in.
Yeah.
Okay.
She doesn't sign off on the billing or do any of that. She just flags them as they can be billed.
Right.
Steve, where does this put us? Is this the whole list?
Yes. There are some job descriptions that were updated, in recent years.
Mhm.
And that having gone through that total list, we identified the positions that either didn't have a job description at all, or ones that were these older versions. So this is that complete list. It was 25 job descriptions.
Yeah, all of them.
Yes.
Is there a plan now for keeping them up to date? Should we put them on a rotation of some sort, or is it an annual, when you're doing the person's review, do they review their job description and say, yes, it still looks good?
So, a next step in this process will be to develop the evaluations that correspond with the job descriptions, and that's a newer thing for us, but, I'm hopeful that through making evaluations focused on job descriptions, there'll be more attention to the essential functions and discussion around the appropriateness of them, the clarifying the language, those kinds of things that I think will help us help inform updates in the future. I'm not aware of anything that requires updating, like we have a policy, for example, that guides us to renew policies on a 3-year cycle.
Right.
I think off the top of my head. I'm not aware of any guidance like that, but now that we have a complete set, it sort of makes sense to think about some kind of review cycle. And I'm not sure what the time frame is, but I think it won't be long before we use these and we'll get some feedback through the evaluation process that will help us think about, are we back to the drawing board with all of these, or is there just a few of them that we want to make some tweaks to?
I mean, everything's always ever evolving.
Sure.
So you're gonna find
Right.
each year maybe, oh, I don't have to do this anymore because it's automated or, something like that, or somebody else does it instead, or.
Sure. If there's a specific reason, we really tried to get this right, but in time, it could be through, new technology or something that changes things, or maybe we just missed, we forgot something. And it becomes clear that we would either want to clarify, add, or remove something. That would be an obvious reason to focus on those few job descriptions that need some updating.
And it's just administrators and teachers that will need to come back through this committee.
Yes, yes.
Like I probably have maybe 4 more that aren't in here that we're looking at to make sure we're meeting like state laws and stuff like that. The drivers mainly, because we don't, so that one I would probably plan to revisit every year now that I have a director, as a secretary, just so that we don't, even though we follow the law, the job description doesn't miss, you know what I mean?
Right. Does anyone need more time to look at these and ask questions, or are we okay to move on? Move on? Sounds good. All right, so we need a motion to go into an executive session, 1 MRS 4056D, negotiation with administrative group. So moved. Thank you. Yeah, and Randy, all in favor? Got it.
Yes. Thank you, Aaron. Andy, did you go in favor of going into executive?
I was in,
I just wasn't sure what it's about, so yeah. I just get ready to get that. That's
because Joseph's not, so yes.
a lot quicker. I thought
Yes.
they were small enough.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
I'm gonna make you read
Sure it
mine out
wasn't.
loud.
Thank you.
Yeah. I just- Like, it's funny that you brought up the most, because that was one of the ones I struggled with the most. Was 6 months, see what, in 6 months, see if it's.